You ever feel like you're seeing the same, I don't know, wacky idea pop up online over and over again?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like you just kind of want to throw your hands up.
Yeah.
That's totally how we feel about this whole TSMC is now USMC thing.
Uh-huh. It's like that rumor that just won't die, right?
Exactly. You'd think people would know by now, but nope. It keeps coming back, especially, it seems, in certain comment sections.
Yeah, like some people are maybe choosing not to see it. The whole you can't wake someone pretending to be asleep idea.
Right. You just want to roll your eyes. But okay, deep breath. It's time to dive in and, get the real story. Again.
You're right, we do. We got to put on our myth-busting hats and really break down what's actually happening.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Sip&Talk. You knew that was coming, right? So we're going to break down what TSMC really is.
And why this strange USMC name keeps getting thrown around. What's the actual deal behind it?
Yeah, and the solid facts that just, prove it's not true. Think of this as your, cheat sheet to understanding the reality here.
Exactly. Our goal today is to bring some clarity, because it does seem shrouded in a bit of, deliberate confusion, maybe.
Could be. We've got some really interesting angles here that help explain where this misconception might be coming from.
And importantly, what the reality of TSMC's identity actually is.
Okay, so first, for anyone maybe just tuning into the world of semiconductors, these tiny computer brains, TSMC stands for Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. Simple enough, right?
Right. Based in Hsinchu, Taiwan. Started way back in 1987.
And they're basically the biggest player in making chips for other companies. They're a contract manufacturer. Huge.
The world's largest, actually. They make the chips that go into, pretty much everything. Your phone, your car.
You name it. They're listed on the stock market in Taiwan. That's TWSE 2330.
And also here in New York on the NYSE as TSM.
But the big takeaway right off the bat, they're a Taiwanese company. Founded there, headquartered there, period.
Precisely. Which brings us right back to that nagging question.
Yeah, the one that makes you scratch your head. Why are some folks online, and let's be honest, often commenters from China, so insistent on calling TSMC USMC?
What's the thinking? Especially when the facts are, pretty easy to find. What's the motivation driving this?
Okay, so let's unpack this whole USMC thing. First things first, let's be crystal clear. It's not a real name.
Not at all. It's a misnomer, a misunderstanding at best.
Or maybe, like you said, a deliberate twisting of the facts. It really feels like someone's trying hard to link TSMC solely to the United States.
And confuse people about where it actually comes from, its identity.
So why? What are the motivations? This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, our sources point to some pretty significant political and maybe even psychological reasons behind this persistent bit of misinformation.
It's almost like a multi-pronged thing.
Seems like it. So one angle is how this might be used against Taiwan itself, as something called cognitive warfare.
Right. Explain that a bit.
Well, the idea is to try and undermine Taiwanese people's confidence, make them doubt their own local industries, their own capabilities.
Ah, okay. Sort of eroding their identification with companies like TSMC.
Exactly. By painting the Taiwanese government or businesses as, incompetent or maybe just kowtowing to the U.S.
Implying they lack sovereignty.
Right.
They can't make their own decisions.
Precisely. And it plays on nationalist feelings, trying to create friction, animosity towards both the U.S. and Taiwan's leadership. It's quite manipulative, really.
Wow. Okay, that's one angle. What else?
Then there's the internal dynamic within China. The sources suggest this USMC narrative can be convenient.
Convenient how?
Well, it helps shift focus away from China's own setbacks in the semiconductor race. Companies like SMIC facing challenges or Huawei dealing with restrictions.
Ah, so it's like internal propaganda, redirecting attention.
Kind of.
Sure.
If you frame TSMC's U.S. expansion not as normal business, but as a loss of sovereignty or some kind of humiliation for Taiwan.
Then it distracts from your own domestic tech anxieties. Maybe makes China's own lag seem less significant?
That seems to be the thinking. It's a way to manage internal frustration. Look, they're losing control too. It's a narrative.
Interesting. And there was a psychological bit too.
Yeah, there seems to be this element of self-comfort or psychological compensation.
Oh, neat.
Well, it might be genuinely difficult for some Chinese netizens to accept Taiwan's clear lead in these really advanced manufacturing processes.
So calling it USMC or saying it's just a tool of the U.S.
Because that becomes a psychological defense mechanism, a way to cope with that reality.
Like diminishing Taiwan's achievement by tying it completely to the U.S.
Exactly. And the sources mention mention using derogatory terms like America's dog.
That sounds a lot like projecting insecurities, doesn't it? Transferring frustration.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack on the why. But let's pivot. Let's hit this with the facts.
Yes, let's talk about why TSMC is absolutely not USMC.
Lay it out for us. Why is TSMC undeniably Taiwanese? Okay, fundamentally, look at the company itself. It was established in Taiwan, it's registered in Taiwan, it's managed from Taiwan.
The headquarters are in Hsinchu, Taiwan.
Right. And critically, it pays its taxes in Taiwan. Decisions are made there. It's Taiwanese through and through.
So this global expansion, the US, Japan, Germany, that's just normal global business.
Pretty much. It's about diversifying the supply chain, managing geopolitical risk. It's what massive international companies do. It's not giving away the company.
Right. Unlike maybe some state-influenced companies elsewhere.
Well, if you contrast it with, say, how companies like Huawei or SMAC operate in China, often with significant state ownership, policy support, clear government direction, TSMC is different.
How so? Who owns TSMC?
Its major shareholders include Taiwan's own National Development Fund, yes, but also huge international investment institutions, Vanguard, BlackRock, folks like that.
So global investment, but the operational decisions.
Still driven by the management team and headquarters in Taiwan.
Okay. What about the tech? This U.S. factory in Arizona?
Yeah. Is it the crown jewel? Good question. It's important, definitely. But in terms of the most advanced technology, no.
What are they making there then?
Initially, it was planned for 5-nanometer chips, maybe moving to 4-nanometer, which is advanced, don't get me wrong.
But not the absolute cutting edge.
Correct. The really bleeding edge stuff, the 3-nanometer chips currently in production, and the next generation, the 2-nanometer tech.
Where is that happening?
That's all in Taiwan. The core R&D centers are in Hsinchu and Taichung. The advanced manufacturing, 3-nanometer and 2-nanometer, that's in Tainan and Hsinchu. Fab 18, Fab 20, those are the flagships.
The U.S. plant is like a generation or so behind what's happening back in Taiwan.
At least, yeah. The core innovation engine remains firmly in Taiwan.
And what about the supply chain? Does building a factory in the U.S. mean the U.S. now controls everything?
Not even close. Think about the essential equipment, those incredibly complex EUV lithography machines needed for the smallest nodes.
Yeah. Where do they come from?
They come from ASML, which is a Dutch company, in Europe. The U.S. doesn't make them.
So the U.S. doesn't actually control that critical choke point in the supply chain?
Nope. And even beyond the machines, you can't just replicate Taiwan's entire semiconductor ecosystem overnight.
What do you mean?
It's the whole network. The specialized suppliers, the materials, and crucially, the huge concentration of engineering talent and experience built up over decades. You can't just, poof, create that elsewhere.
So even in the U.S. plants?
You often have Taiwanese engineers playing key roles, leading operations, and Taiwanese system suppliers providing support. It's an extension of the Taiwan base, not a replacement or a clone.
That makes sense. You also mentioned contrasting this with China's approach.
Right. There's often been talk of China's technology for market access strategy, where foreign firms might feel pressured to transfer know-how to operate there.
Has the U.S. done that with TSMC? Demanded their secrets?
No, not according to anything we've seen. In fact, the U.S. GPS Act and other initiatives are more focused on securing supply chains, but also on protecting the intellectual property, the core R&D.
And TSMC's own leadership has addressed this, haven't they?
Yes. Both Chairman Mark Liu and the founder, the legendary Morris Chang, have stated very clearly multiple times that it's basically impossible to completely replicate Taiwan's production lines in the U.S.
Why? What do they say?
Chang, in particular, talks about the talent density, the work culture, the whole integrated ecosystem in Taiwan. It's unique. It can't just be lifted and shifted.
Okay, so let's quickly hit some of those specific wrong ideas we hear again and again. Claim 1. TSMC is controlled by the U.S.
In fact, nope. Taiwanese-led board, R&D, and decision-making centered in Hsinchu, Taiwan.
Claim 2. The U.S. factory is the most advanced one TSMC has.
Fact. False. It's at least a generation behind. The cutting-edge 3-nanometer and the future 2-nanometer R&D and mass production are all in Taiwan.
Okay. Claim 3. TSMC is now primarily working for the U.S. military industry.
Fact. Misleading. TSMC has always served global clients, including major U.S. tech firms like Apple and NVIDIA, from its Taiwan fabs. The U.S. factory is about geographic diversification for commercial and strategic reasons.
And those North American clients make up a huge chunk of their business anyway, right?
Exactly. Like around 70% of revenue in 2024 came from North American customers. That reflects commercial partnership, not U.S. military control or ownership.
Got it. Claim 4. The U.S. is just going to copy or steal TSMC's tech now that they have a factory there.
Fact. Highly unlikely. And Morris Chang himself has explained why the U.S. can't simply replicate TSMC's success due to fundamental differences in the industrial and cultural ecosystem. Plus, there are strong IP protections.
Right. And finally, Claim 5. Taiwan is giving away its lifeline by building factories overseas.
Fact. That gets it backward. Taiwan is TSMC's lifeline. TSMC's strength is Taiwan's strength. That's why there's global interest in Taiwan's security.
And the overwhelming majority of production is still in Taiwan.
Absolutely. Around 80 to 90% of TSMC's global output still comes from Taiwan. The US, Japan, Germany plants are supplementary. They're additions, not replacements.
So when you step back and look at this USMC narrative, it's not really about facts, is it?
No, it seems much more like opinion manipulation, possibly with hostile intent, trying to sow discord or confusion.
To achieve what, though? Recap those motives again.
Well, geopolitically, maybe trying to portray Taiwan as subordinate to the U.S., weakening its image or international support.
Stirring up nationalism in China against both the U.S. and Taiwan.
Plausibly. And economically, it downplays Taiwan's own incredible achievement with TSMC, perhaps distracting from China's own semiconductor challenges?
Could it also be aimed at causing trouble within Taiwan?
Potentially, trying to create division, making people question the government or the company's strategy, and just creating international misunderstanding about the autonomy of Taiwanese businesses?
It all seems to tie back to broader narratives trying to undermine Taiwan's independent status, doesn't it?
It fits that pattern, unfortunately.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. The key takeaways here seem pretty clear.
I think so. First, TSMC is Taiwanese. Full stop. Yeah. Founded, headquartered, managed, taxed in Taiwan.
Second, it's global expansion. Totally normal for a huge international company. It's about business strategy and risk management.
Third, the core technology, the R&D, the most advanced production, and the ultimate control, still firmly rooted in Taiwan.
And fourth, this whole USMC narrative, it's not based on reality. It seems driven by specific political, psychological, maybe propagandistic motivations.
Which really underscores the need for critical thinking, doesn't it, when you see these kinds of claims online?
Yeah, you got to question them. Look for the actual facts, consider the source, and think about the potential agenda behind the message.
Absolutely. Don't just take the headline or the comment section shouting at face value.
Well said. Okay, switching gears for a sec on a much lighter note. You know our friend Mickey?
Yeah.
He's got that great YouTube channel, Mickey to Life. Seriously fun, interesting stuff over there. If you're looking for something engaging, definitely check it out.
Yeah, give Mickey some love.
And of course, if you enjoyed this deep dive, if you like getting clear, insightful explanations on complex topics, maybe with a bit of banter.
Hopefully we achieved that.
Then please do subscribe to our Sip and Talk deep dives. We love digging into this stuff, and we've got plenty more planned.
We do. Thanks for tuning in.